Okay, so from where we left off, we have some section of our sign up form being created. So you're going to continue on to add the necessary data that you need from our users. Okay, that's it, the necessary data that we need from our users are going to be what added up. So let's go back and do some editing to the field. So we have created two columns at this section, but I want us to do some editing here. Now, the next information that we are going to request from our user is not their name, because we're not going to repeat ourselves, but you're going to need their email address. So the ID should be what? Email. Okay. The name is what you need to process our data at the server side. The ID is what you need to process our input field at the JavaScript side or at the front end. From here, we can change that the ID from the name to what? Email. The text field is okay. Then the placeholder section, we said please, or you indicate just what email address like this. And normally the people will be able to know what you are asking for. The same thing, we can just remove this long sentence here, then just indicate first name, then let's indicate last name. Okay, let's show that you want the person to enter something. And then at the image section, then I want you guys to delete the second column at this section. So let's delete it. Okay, I want this one to stretch across the entire row. So after doing that, you save it. Let's go back to our page and see how it looks. So when you run it, you are getting our email address here, last name, okay, then first name, last name, email address. But I want this email address to stretch across this field. So this is how we are going to do it. We are going to override the weight in this, here in this column here. The weight is 55%. We're going to override that in our sign up form. So at the column section that indicates the row for our text field, we can say that you can call for star, okay, and the weight should be, let's say, 100%, or let's say 90%. Okay, that's what you want the weight to be. Then close that. So this is a star attribute that you are adding directly to the div element that has the class column. In this section, you are overriding the weight of the class column from here. Okay, now instead of 55%, we are overriding it to 90%. So let's save it, reload our page, and see what will happen. So you can see what you have over here. All right. For it to even look nicer, let's say 95%. Let's send this thing to 95%, and let's see what the appearance will be. 95%, reload, then we have it in alignment. So first name, last name, email address, and I think this look quite nice. So we continue. Then so this is quite okay. So the next information that we are going to collect from the user is the username. We have determined the first name, the last name, the email address, and then we are going for the username. So let's go to this side. Okay, and then let's remove one of the columns as we did in the previous session, and then okay, all right, and then let's change the name. We're going to maintain the input type. Let's change the name to username and add the username. Okay, then class field, you're going to leave it as it is, and then you enter here the placeholder. That is going to give you the prompt to the user. We're going to notify the user the kind of information that we want should be username. Okay, should be username. And then as you did in the previous session, you're also going to increase the weight of the column to take almost the entire weight of the row as we did for the previous one. So copy, then come to this side, then paste. All right, then save, and let's reload our page and see the outcome. And we have very nice username field over here. Okay, then, and that is this first name field, the last name, all the information that you are requesting from the user are some very crucial information that you want. So you want us to add another attribute to it called what? Required. Require, okay? We want this information to be what? Provided to us. So for the user, if they leave this space blank, there's no way the form will be what? Validated. As long as required field has been indicated, it means that you can't leave the form what? Blank. You can't submit anything. So when you go back, then refresh, crucial information that I want us to go in for is the date of birth of the person signing up. To, as usual, open tag, division tag, then class, equal row, and then we close up class, then end the tag. Okay, then close the tag. I always want them to be in line, so let me push this one to that. Okay, and then we are going to do something different. Instead of us going for columns, we are going to implement table tag here. So table, then we are going for the attribute called cell padding, and that, let's say 5, and then cell spacing. These are table what attribute, and let's say 5. Okay, 5 is okay. Then let's close the table tag. All right. Then our first element for every table should have what? A row. Then the tag is T row or TR, which represents table row. Okay. And then this table should have a table data, and that can be done by using the TD tag. Okay. And then within the table tag, you are going to implement another element called label, and then that label we are going to call it date of birth. Then close the label tag, then close the table data, then let's close the table row. Okay, and all this should be within what? The table tag. All right, so now you have something like that. Let's go back to our page and reload and see how it appears. All right, so date of birth is showing up here neatly. All right, the error will show itself with time. As you go on, you see the error that I'm talking. Then we create another table row. Okay, and this time we are going to divide the row into three. Okay, so let me drop down here and td and then label, and this is what day. Okay, the label for what day. Let's close the label tag, then let's close the table data. Okay, and then we can close our table row. This I always want to push them, that they will be, so use the tab to push them on Windows machine. And then we can also define another table data. This table is going to have three set of what data in each row. Okay, this row rather is going to have three divisions. Okay, we have the label, then we have month, then we have table data. Then another one td, then label, then year, then label, then we have another table data. Okay, so now I want us to see how this table is appearing. So let me bring border to this table. Let me add border to this table so that the border is one. It's an attribute of the table tag or table element. So let me just go back to our page, reload. Then you see this table has what? Two table rows with one column divided into what? Three. This is supposed to be expand from this end to the other end. And because there have been some restriction in the definition process, so we are going to deal with that, remove that limit from there so that this row can expand from where it ended to what? To the rest of the this column rather will expand to the rest of what? The table row. So let's go back. Then at the very first part where we define the table row, at the table data, let's enter there and then call the attribute call span. Okay, and then let's say three, because there are three table rows in the subsequent row. There are three table columns in subsequent rows, so that's 1, 2, 3. So we count them, then we put the value here. That's 3. And when we save it, and then you go back to our page, and then you reload, and you see date of birth is expanding to the end of that. It's expanding to the end of that. Now, the error that I was talking about is going to show very soon. Come here, and then we are going to find another row, T row, okay, and then let's drop down one, T data, okay, and this table data is going to have an element called selection, okay, HTML element called select, okay. So let's drop down again here, select, and then this is a form element. So this should have what? A name, okay, where you usually to process it at the server side. The name is day, okay, and then ID, okay, for JavaScript processing, day, okay, and then the class. I want us to use the usual text field app that user interface that's all text field class for this, and then we close that. Okay, and each selection, okay, then we close the tag to select. Let me just push this one. Oh, don't waste my time. Okay, let me push this to where it's supposed to be, and let me also close the table data. I don't know why this always pushes to this end. If you have any way of preventing that, please leave it in the comment section. It's annoying for me. All right, so in Adobe Dreamweaver, I will just close the tag and it will end at where I close it. So then select also have an element within it called options. Okay, so select option. Then we call, let's say, let me just hard code this value here, 1, maybe 20, then close the option tag. Don't worry, you will use PHP to deal with this session, so don't worry. Okay, so when after doing that, I want to copy this, okay, and repeat it for 2 times, 1, 2, and 3, okay. And then at each name here, I'm going to call this one what, month, and then the ID2, I'll call it what, month, and then for here the name, I'll call it year, and then the ID2, I'll call it what, year. Then once I have all this in place, then I'll just save it. Let's go back to our page, reload, and see the results. You see, that's where the error is coming from. You see, at day we have the element from the table. Okay, the select options element have been overlapping the rows over here. Okay, they are overlapping the rows over here, and that is not what we want. That is not what we want. You want something else. You want this thing to expand so that this one will shift, and then the whole of this area will be occupied by what, the table. So this is where the error was coming from. Then we go back to the row. Okay, our row have a limited what, height. So once that height has reached, the element don't have the freedom to expand to any other column, to any other what do you call it, row, okay, to any other space available. So they have to overlap the subsequent what, element. So let us remove the limit here, okay, and then set the height to what, auto, okay. Let's set the height to auto. Then let's reload our page. You see, when we set the height to auto, you see our table has expanded nicely within what columns. Has the columns beneath it has was shifted nicely to the available what, space within the rows. But that has also jeopardized the appearance of what, our input field. So we are going to work on that. So for that session, we go to our column, okay, and instead of hard coding automatic height for them, you can use a specific height for them, okay. So you can say the height should be 45 pixels, and let's call 45 pixels, and then let's reload and see how. See, now they are what, displaying nicely over here as what we expected them to do. They are doing nicely as we expected them to do. But I don't like how this thing has all compounded itself over here. So let's try and see if you can expand the table to occupy the available width. Okay, so let's see. You can go to the table element, and then we say that star, then you bring the star element here, sorry, attribute here. Then we call for the width, then let's say 100%, and let's see how the appearance will be. And then after that, we go back, reload, and see. You see, now it is covering the entire width for us. It's covering the entire width for us, and this is quite okay. And then now that we have gotten our date of birth, the day, the month, year neatly arranged on our phone, we can go ahead and remove the table border, okay, remove the table border attribute, and then save it, and then we come back, reload, and see now everything is perfect, okay. Everything is perfect. You have day, month, year, okay. But then the alignment of days is kind of a bit sketchy, so let's see if you can change how they align themselves. Okay, let's say align to be equal to center, and let's see if any changes will happen at all for I want us to do that. This is okay for us, but I want us to do this for the label. Let's see the day, and let's see how it will appear. Okay, and this is good. So let's repeat it for the month. Alignment equal to center. Let's do the same thing for the year. Alignment equal to center, and then save it, reload, and see. Fine, this is nice. They are all align themselves neatly under where you want them to select both the day, the year, and then the month. Okay, so once this thing is in perfect place, then we can go back to our code, and now this is where the interesting stuff will happen. We are going to open into a PHP tag. Set PHP. Okay, then let's close it. Okay, let's drop down and close our PHP tag. And here, let's do the same thing for this, for the remaining this like this. Then we close, move the hard-coded value, put the PHP tag in between them, do the same thing, then put the PHP tag in between them, and save that. Once we have successfully done that, then we are going to do something interesting here. How many days do you have in a month? Majority of the days are what? 31. So we are going to have alright, so now is the interesting part. Initially we had coded the values into the options section, but we are going to use PHP to produce what? The values for which the user will be able to select from. Okay, so this is what we are going to do. I'm going to drop down to a PHP code, okay, and then we are going to enter something called for loop, okay, a conditional statement. That's what we call for loop. And for me not to waste much time, okay, for any, let's say for I is equal to 0, I is less than 20, sorry, hash I is less than 20, then hash plus plus I plus plus. Okay, so you are going to echo hash what I. Okay, what that you are doing here is that we are going to output, or we are going to count from what? 0 to what? 20. Sorry, 0 to what? 19, because I should be less than what? 20. So when you do that and we come here and reload our page, you see 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 up to what? 19. That is the value of what? I, as you look through what? So it's like repetition. You are repeating ourselves by counting from what? 0 to what? 19, based on the condition that was given in the conditional statement. So you are going to use these techniques to produce an integer from what? 1 up to what? 31. You're going to use this technique to produce an integer from 1 up to what? 31. So this is how you do it. Now, I'm going to maintain the I, and this time around, I'm going to change this one to what? 1. And then, because there are 31 days in most of the month, we're going to say to less than or equal to 31. Okay, so that the 31 will be inclusive. Then I plus plus. And this is where the interesting aspect comes in. We are not going to echo that. We are going to close our PHP tag here, close it, and then you open another PHP what? Tag. Okay, so pay attention very carefully. Now, this bracket here is what is closing the for loop. Okay, and as long as the for loop bracket is not at this point, it's not at this end, any code within this and that will be what? A repetitive what? Code. So this will help us what? Output our option in a very nice way. So you go to Once you are within the bracket, now at this point you can say that option, okay, and then we open another PHP, okay, tag. Please don't get confused. All right, just follow what I'm doing over here, and then we call the echo function, then we call the I, okay, and then you close it, and then you close the option tag, and then we close the option what tag. And when after doing that, you come to this end, then we delete date and delete what that. Then we have our option for producing integers from what 1 up to 31, were defined within this option tab for us. So when you go back to our code and then we reload, we're going to have them in very nice order. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, up to what 31. Okay, up to 31, and this represents the day, and this represents the day. And then we are going to use the same scenario for the month. Okay, so don't waste much time. Just copy this from here up to this end. Copy that, okay, and then you come to the month section and delete this whole thing within the select element, and then put the code there. And instead of this time around 31, you're going to go for what 12, because there are only 12 months in the year. Then you save it, okay, and when you reload, let's reload, and then we are going to have our month like that. Okay, going to have our month like that. Okay, then we can go back and deal with what the year, the years. Okay, so now the same code, don't do anything to just delete this section and then paste it over here. And now this is quite we are going to follow a quite different approach than the previous ones, in that you have to define what the date. So the first thing I will do is that we said you define you write a PHP variable, or define a PHP variable called what current what date, and then you have a PHP function called date, and then you pass in date, the format as what capital Y, and then we just close and leave it as it is. Okay, and then once you have the date, you are going to use this to what control our conditional statement. So now for I to be equal to all right, so for I to be equal to this time around, you're going to use 1960 as a date of a year. Then we are saying that I should be less than or equal to the current date, and then increase I by 1. Increase I by 1. And when you do that, and then we save our code, and then you reload, see now our date is counting from what 1960 up to what 2000 and what 2020 what 3 up to 2023. So I can say that if my date of birth is 20th to the 2nd, let's say September, then let's say 1989, or let's say 1992, then this will become what my date of what birth. This will become my date of birth. And as we save our code, more functions will be adding to this stuff over here. But at the moment, let's stick to what we have right now. So now this is how we can output day, month, and year in what PHP, combine it with what HTML. Right. So let's continue on to the next set of data that we have to what request from the user. All right. So the next set of data that you're going to request from a user is where they lived, and then the city at which they lived in. In this tutorial, we are only going to provide a very few countries for selection, and then the city will be entered by the user. But as we prolong, or as we proceed with this project, the selection of country will be queried from a database, and then there will be a situation whereby you would require you automatically what detect the user's what current what location as long as he allow us to do that. So let's go to this session that we have the row here. Let's remove this element over here, and then let's enter into what a table what element as we did for the previous one. Okay, but I don't like this thing always doing that. Okay, then we can go in for what table row, then table data, then label. Okay, then where do you live? As simple as that. Then let's close the label element, let's close the table data, and let's close the table what row. And then we come back again to table row, table data. Okay, and then let's drop down here, then drop down here too, then select name equal country, ID equal country. Okay, and then let's close our tag. Let's close our tag, and then within the select, let's put an option. And the country, first country, let's say UK. Option. Let's repeat this for a couple of countries. Let's say about 5 countries. Sorry. Let's do it again. And then let's say UK, US, let's say Nigeria, let's say Ghana, and let's say paste, then let's say Canada. In later development, all these country names will be what created from what a database when you get there. So please just relax, bear with us as you do that. So with this, we can go back to our form, reload the page, and see how the whole thing is appearing. Okay, this is how the whole thing is. Okay, where do you live? You have UK, you have US, Nigeria, Ghana, and that. Let's add some CSS to our select element. Okay, let's say class to be equal to app / user interface that's what test. So let's save it. Let's come back, reload, and see. This is what we are having. Okay, where do you live? You have that, but I want us to add some spacing to the table. So let's go for cell spacing. As usual, let's use 5. Then cell padding, let's use another 5. Okay, then let's say star and weight should be equal to, which should be what 100% of the current what element. So let's come back to reload and see it is appearing neatly over here. So where do you live? UK, then you select UK. If you live in US, select US. If you live in Nigeria, select Nigeria. If you live in Ghana, select Ghana as that. Alright. So you can go ahead and ask the user to provide more what data for us. To ask the user to provide more data for us. So now I want us to Sorry. All right, so let us come to this row and drop down. Okay, and I want us to add another table data to this row. So let's copy this and then paste over here. And then at this place, which city do you live in? Okay, so let's ask the user, which city do you live in? Do you live in? Okay, if you are doing your own code, you can ask any question. I just want this to be interesting. And then I want us to also come to, you have not even closed this table data, so let's close it. Okay, let's close the table data. Yes, let it match its element. Then let's copy this table data and then copy, then what? Paste just beneath the previous one that we just copied. And then here we change the name from country to what? City. Then add it to what? City. And we leave the app field, the text field, the class to be what? As it is. Then we save it, okay? And then as you did, let's align the data at what? At the center. Let's align this. Let's align this to the center. And then let's repeat this thing for the above table here. Let's do that for this one too. And let's save. We come back, let's reload and see, okay, where do you live and which city do you live in? So the city, we can say here, Accra for Ghana, Abuja for Nigeria, Washington, DC for US, then we can save that and then we reload our page, and see how it appears. Okay, so you have UK, then Ghana, so you can choose Ghana for Accra, you can choose Nigeria and Abuja, you can choose US and then what? Washington, what? DC. So these are very simple scenarios. Then we the user to specify the interest for which he's looking for on our page. Okay, is the person looking for a woman, a man, or the other way around? So what you do here is that you come back, you come back to our this session, okay, the table row. I want you to copy all of this from this end to that end, okay. Copy it, then just beneath that paste it over here, okay. And this is what we are going to do. We are going to delete one of these, okay, and then ask, what are you interested in? So the next information that you'll be taking from the user is the agenda, okay. So what you do is that put a what is your gender, okay. Then you select two options here. So let's clear this one you're only going to use two options here. Then the gender is what? Male. And then you have what? Female. Sorry, female. Okay. Okay. Or we could make it very interesting and ask what you are okay then ask the person you are either male, female, or custom. Okay, and then what you are actually looking for. Okay, what you are actually looking for. So the next thing you do is to copy this table row here, or you should just copy. Let me clean this section. Let me clean this section here. Okay, and then let me just close this table row. Okay, let me close the table row, and then let me copy from this table row to this end again. Copy, then let me paste it within the table, and then let me put here looking for you are so looking for a dash. Okay, then female, or you're looking for a male, female, or custom. So here I'll remove the name here. Okay, now so the name here should be gender. ID should be what? Gender. This is nice. Fine, but at this section we are not going to use gender. We are going to use what you call interest. What you are interested in. Your interest. Okay, you'll be doing something to these sections for it to allow selection to take place. But just bear with us, you will deal with that. Let us build the skeleton of our form. Then from there, of our sign up form, then from there you can drop the rest. So let us go to our page, reload, and see how it looks. Okay, so you are looking for, but the appearance is very, very poor. So let's do something to that. Okay, so let's go back to our code and remove the center, and let's say left. Okay, and this one too, let's remove the center and put it at the left. Now let's leave this one as it is. Okay, but let's go back to the label for that and leave it to the left, and then let's reload and see. Okay, you are a male or female looking for, then put that down. All right, so you can see our form field are not uniform. Okay, they are not uniform. Don't worry, you will deal with that very soon. Okay, so what I want us to do, all right, but if you come to our site, you see the text field are not uniform. The reason being that we use the column element in defining this one, and the column element have a specific height of 45 pixels. Okay, so let's go and define our select element to have this kind of height. So you go back to our code, and then we say that the select element star attribute, we add a star attribute to the select element, and then we only deal with what you ever write the height is a 45 pixels, and let's save it. Let's copy this one, okay, to our clipboard, but don't do anything yet. Let's go back to our page, reload, and see the changes. You see, very nice changes has taken place over here. So because of that, it now is looking good. So you can look for all the select element and add that attribute to them. We go back, look for all the select element, then add that attribute to them so that our field will appear very nicely for us. Let's add it. Select element, select element. There's one here. Select element. There's another one here. Then select element. There's another one here. Then let's save. Okay, and then let's reload our field and see now it is appearing very neatly and very unique. Okay, neatly and unique and almost the same height as you want this one to be. So this is good, this is nice. All right, so the next thing we do is to look for another information. Okay, so here your name, your last name, email address, your username, date of birth, your city, your country, your city, what your interests are, who you are, and what your interests are. Now I want us to request the person's what? Ask the person to protect his accounts by adding what? A password. Okay, by adding a password. And there's going to be two fields. The one for entering password, and the next one for confirming what? The password. So let's go back to our code. Still at the sign up session, still within our form element, we can open up, then call for another division div class is equal to what? Row, close it, okay, then close it. All right, then we will have an input element or column element div class equal column, okay, then close it. Okay, now within the column element we go for an input type equal password, okay, then name equal password, id equal password, okay, and then class is equal to app dash user embedded dash test field, okay, and close the input. Let's reload and see how it appears. See, this indicates that no thanks. This is what a password was for. This indicates that is what a password for. You can add as many passwords as you want. Let's make sure our password for is stretching to the end of the row. Let's go back here. Oh, okay, there's a problem here. Let's remove this. Okay, copy that, then come and put it at the column section. Save. Then let's reload. All right, so our password field is nicely done. So let's inform the user that this is a password field by calling for the placeholder, then protect your account with a password. Okay, protect your account with a password. So indirectly you are asking the person to provide with a password. Let's reload. That is showing up here. I don't know why auto load is protect your account with. So let's bring the with your account with a password. All right. So let's copy this again. Copy and let's paste it here. And then this time around, the input type will still be password, but we are going to call this confirm password. Okay, confirm password. The name should be name confirm password. Edit should be what? Confirm what? Password. Sorry, confirm password. The rest, then this what? Confirm your password. Confirm, confirm, or also let's say retype your password. Retype your password. And then you save it and you go back to our page, reload, and you see it is stretching over our sidebar. So what you can do is that you go back to our form container, you go back to the division, the CSS, look for form container. Okay, let's look for form container, form container. Okay, then let's increase the height to, or let's change the height to auto and see how the whole thing will look like. Then we come back here, reload, and see the auto height. Let's hard reload and see. Okay, yeah, it's working. Then auto, then this will be fine. So if the effect is not taking place, just shift and then reload, shift on your keyboard, then press the reload button. It will hard reload everything from the server. So this is good. Okay, this is good. This is good. All right, so your password, protect your account with a password, and confirm or retype what your password. And the next element you're going to add to our sign up form is the send. Okay, so let's copy this again. I think we've already copied it. So just then from here delete this. Okay, and then you're going to add what you called, sorry, that don't let us delete everything, undo, input, and then let's have the type called what? Submit. Name should be what? Send. Send, or maybe register. Then ID should be what? Register. And then afterward, we are going to use user interface dash what? Button or success button. Okay, and then rotate. You are going to remove the placeholder here, and we will bring in an attribute called what? Value, and that should be called what? Register or send. Let's use send or send. Yes, let's say, yeah, I think send is okay. Send is okay. And then let's come back, reload our page, and see how it looks. All right, so you have our send button here. When you click on it, data will be what? Sent for us. Data will be sent for us. So there are certain things that you have to do, but you come back to later. So let us go and work on our send button. It doesn't look nice. So let's go to our CSS and then go for define our new button, app dash user interface that success dash btn. All right, so the first thing I want us to do to this button is the weight. Then the weight should be let's say about 50% of the parent weight. Let's say the height should be let's say 40 pixels. Sorry, 40 pixels. And let's say the background color um let's use something of a success related color, green. Yes, I think this is quite cool. Okay, then let's save it, reload, and see if it will match. Sorry, if it will match our page. Yes. Okay, send. This is quite nice, but it's kind of out of place. So let's go back and change it. Sorry, let's go back and change it from this to something a bit closer to what you have. So let me use okay, don't worry, we are going to work on something else, something very let's come to this end. I don't want it to be more height. I don't want it to be okay. So let's try something like this. And see, let's save it, reload. Yes. Okay. At least it is matching, but still not quite nice. But don't worry, let's finish our bottom. So let's say border radius. Let's add some border radius 5 pixels. Okay. Then let's reload. Let's reload, and this is nice. And let's put this in the middle. But I want us to add some finished touches to our page. The bottom should be at the middle, and then this sign up form here should stretch to this end, should get to this end as we started our code in the initial state. So what I want us to do is go to the CSS element, and then let's put the bottom at the middle. So let's say that let's define position element relative, and then let's push this thing from the left to the middle. Let's define 27 pixels, and let's see the outcome if it will be okay. Then let's go back, reload, and see. Hard reload. Okay, 27 pixels didn't work. So let's use the percentage wise, and let's see. 27% of the parent element, and let's reload. That is good. This is being pushed to the center of the form, and I like it this way. Okay, now the next thing I want us to add is to push this thing from this end to the other end. Okay, so let's do that. Let's go and look to the sign up and see which element is hosting the form. Okay, so let's go to the index. Then you realize that the sign up is found at what the column dash what right class. Okay, it's found within this particular column. So let's go to the CSS selection and look for the class column that what rush column dash right column dash right. Okay, then let's delete the float from there. We have position, we have right definition. Let's say from the right we should put what 5%, and let's say from the left this should be at a position, let's say 70%, and let's see how it will appear. Let's reload. Okay, so this is quite nice. Okay, so this has been placed back to its what initial position as we intended it to be. That's intended it to be. There's something that I want us to do. Okay, I want us to define this position to be what faced. Okay, the navigational bar over here should be faced so that as you scroll, you will still be seeing our navigational bar. As you scroll, you still be seeing our navigational bar. So that this thing will just go through it. So let's go back to our CSS. You are wrapping up with the initial stage of our development. Let's go back to the CSS and let's look for the navigational element. Does it have position, width, height, background, margin, set index, box shadow? So let's add position element to it. Position, I want this to be what faced. Okay, let's say face position. Let's reload it and see how the whole thing will be. So as you reload, you can see that this is what's going beneath it. But you can see that our menu icon is completely off what display. So let's go back to the CSS. Let's look for our menu icon, and then the top position should, let's say, let's go for the top. From the top, let's say 5% and see, and then from the left let's go for 5% again and see how the outcome will be. Let's go back to the page, reload. Okay, for the left is quite cool, and the top is still out of what place. So let's go in for 15% and see how the whole thing will look. 15%. Let's reload. It is still not appearing as you want it to be. So let's go back the code. Let's increase it to, let's say 30%. Okay, 30. Let's reload, and then nice. This is what appearing very nicely over here. This is good, and we have our cyanide moving towards going through all that. But some of our form elements are what hidden. So let's go back to the code and look for the form container, or the container that's right, the column that's right, and let's see the top is 10 pixels. Okay, so we are going to go in for, let's see 120 pixels, and let's see the outcome 120. Reload, sorry, out of place, reload, shift, reload. Okay, that is good. This is good. Okay, so you scroll and you can see that. Let's reduce it a bit. I want the distance between the two to be a bit, so let's go for 110, 110, 110, and see what the outcome will be. Ah, this is nice. Okay. But there's one last thing I want us to do, is to go back to our code, and then the bottom, our success button, we are going to add hovering element to it, so that you come back, then put it down here. However, when the mouse move over it, okay, then you should change the opacity, so let's say 50%, for us to indicate that something has what happened, or the mouse has been what has reached it. Let's reload the button, put it here, and then we come back to our code, reload. Okay, now there's an indication that mouse has what moved over it. So this will bring us to the end of our form field, but there's one last thing we have to do. Now the form field is here, but nobody knows what it's all about. So let's give it a very nice heading at the top. So let's go to the sign up, and then at the form container, okay, you can add a row here, okay, and then you can add a label, then or the heading H, let's say H3, let's say then now. Okay, let's save it. Let's reload our form, our page. You see, join now. Let's push this thing to the in the middle. If you define align center, there's one thing you have to add, the star, then the width should be 100%. When you do that, it will stretch across the row, then it will put that in the middle of the page. Okay, hard reload, you have the same. So join now. Okay, join now. So once you have this heading, the person will know that you are asking the person, him or her, to join our page. So that will be all for now. Next time when you meet, you look at how we can validate this form and then send data to the server to be saved. Okay, but before you move to that session, you try to finish the front page by adding some nice images at this session for our page. That note, stay tuned and happy coding. Please like it, subscribe, and comment it how you can make an improvement as you go along. Thank you very much.